We almost broke up at least 10 times. Hi everybody and welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you all what it's like to date your complete and total polar opposite. If this is the first time that you've happened across our channel, welcome. To give you a little bit of background, I am in a relationship with a man who is my complete opposite in almost every single sense of the word. We have been dating for about 2.5 years at this point, and let me tell you, it has been the hardest relationship I have ever been in my entire life. So hard, in fact, that for the first year, we almost broke up at least 10 times, but we made it through and we are here. I am going to be giving you all some real advice about what it's like to be in a relationship with somebody that is your complete opposite and how to survive all of the oppositions and obstacles that y'all will come across. In my experience, the beginning of the relationship is similar to the beginning of any other relationship. It's just that everything feels more amplified. Maybe you're the good girl and he's the bad boy and you can't believe that he's into you. Or he speaks another language and you have no clue what it is that he's saying or she's saying, but the accent sounds so beautiful and you just get sucked into the body language and the romanticism of what's going on in the moment. The chemistry is off the charts and you are riding this high. In actuality, it's the same infatuation phase that everybody goes through in a relationship, just that yours feels a bit more intense. After those initial feelings of intensity and infatuation wear off, and naturally so, reality can hit really hard. Any little thing becomes a major thing. I don't have a TV in my bedroom. I like quiet. I like to wear masks. If there's any kind of noise, I need to eliminate it because if I don't, it's going to wake me up. And Alex watches the TV to go to sleep. He's a wannabe foodie, and so he likes to go to different restaurants and try new things. And I'm the person that is all about staying at home, making the food here, and saving money. I don't use a whole lot of AC in my car, and Alex will put his on max for freezing cold, which makes me super uncomfortable. It sucks to feel like every little thing that you could have a conversation about has the potential to turn into a disagreement. And in the case of Alex and myself, that's absolutely what happened. If you're someone that's a people pleaser, or you don't like conflict, or you find yourself being the person that will try and keep the peace and say sorry or look for ways to take blame so that the situation can just de-escalate and things can go back to normal, I do not recommend this kind of a relationship to you. If you don't work on these things before you go into this kind of a relationship, that can lead to you feeling really hurt and really disrespected, like what you want or what you prefer isn't being taken into consideration, like you're being manipulated, and in some cases it can lead to some kinds of abuse. If we're talking about your everyday non-manipulative person and you're getting into arguments with them, that could be happening just because you are expecting somebody to step outside of their comfort zone, and no one likes to do that. So when you ask them to step out of it, of course you're going to get some pushback. Number 3, this relationship is going to require a lot more communication and better communication from you both for you to both be on the same page. When you have this relationship where the two of you are so different, you're also learning how to communicate amongst all of these different layers in your relationship, and you can get emotionally or mentally drained because of having to do all of this work all the time. Again, if you are somebody that doesn't like confrontation, doesn't like conflict, this is going to be really hard for you because you're going to have to explain yourself in ways that maybe you've never had to explain yourself to other people that just get you or are similar enough to where you don't need to explain things that you think of as common courtesy or general knowledge. The last big communication barrier that I want to mention, and I'm only going to go over it briefly because we already have a video series on this, I am a huge believer in love languages, and I think that if you speak different love languages and you're not aware of those differences, it can lead to y'all just constantly missing each other with the way that you're trying to express how you feel about your special person. Say, for example, your love language is physical touch, and there's is words of affirmation. No amount of physical attention that you could give them and all of the different intimacy that you can have physically is going to amount to the same thing as telling the person, I love you, I appreciate you, I think you look really attractive or really handsome, really beautiful when you do these things. It just hits differently for the person, and I think it's really important for everybody to learn what it is that they consider their primary love language, as well as what their significant other's love language is. Another thing that can happen when you're in a relationship with your polar opposite is you can start to have feelings of inauthenticity, like the compromising or having to not do the things that you want to do to the fullest extent can make you feel like you're not allowed to be your fullest self. You may even begin to regret the decisions that you've made for the relationship or the sacrifices that you've made for the relationship, feeling taken advantage of because you're not feeling fulfilled. And in those cases, I get really worried that people have this idea that they have to give up who they are in order to be in a relationship. And there are ways to healthfully preserve the person that you are. Not all differences are good differences, and not all differences are things that you should be trying to work past in a relationship with somebody. I dated somebody unknowingly that was very heavy into red pill content, and I found out maybe a month or two into our dating relationship that all women were trash in his eyes except for me. Like, I was the exception to the rule, but everybody else was garbage. That's something that I was not going to be able to tolerate. There are things that will cause unnecessary strife, stress, and problems in your life that you do not have to accept just because you guys are different. By now, you're probably thinking, okay, well, like, what's the point of trying to be in this relationship then? If everything is just going to be really frustrating and really difficult, what is the point in trying to stick out something that is this hard? I feel like if both of you are committed to the idea of having a healthy and successful relationship long term, this is absolutely something that you can overcome, that you can develop the skill sets to tackle and handle in a way that's civil without feeling like things get escalated all the time. So I am going to share my tips when it comes to those things, but I also want to mention that the biggest key to all of this is that both of you have to be on the same page. This can't just be you going hardcore at trying to make some improvements in the relationship while the other person sits back and just lets you do whatever it is that you want to do. It's a team effort here. On our second date, we started reading the book The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. If you've been around here for a while, you already know how I feel about that book. I wanted to have a way to communicate with him that wouldn't be hampered by all of the different barriers that we were already facing, and I wanted to be able to show him affection and appreciation in ways that he would most readily receive and understand. 3 months into our relationship, we started seeing a premarital counselor, and to be honest, it was the best decision that we could have made, because that was right around the time that our relationship started to just break loose and become a hot mess express. We had the opportunity to have really tough conversations in a safe environment with somebody whose desire was that we move past what it was that we were experiencing, and it worked. I will always recommend counseling as a solution, because you never know how many things are going on in your relationship when it's just the two of you until you've got that third objective eye. It's definitely worth the investment. Another really attainable thing that you can do to work on your relationship with your significant other is you can work on your communication, and that could look different for each particular couple depending on the dynamic that they have. So if you're in a relationship that has a language barrier, of course the most obvious thing that you would want to do is the two of you begin to learn each other's languages, because the more misunderstandings that you can kind of take out of that equation, the better your overall communication will be. If you are somebody who doesn't do well with conflict or feels really intimidated when it comes to high stakes conversations, look for books, look for classes that will help you have those kinds of conversations and not feel so uncomfortable in those moments. I recommend doing one at a time because it can be very overwhelming, but try and find ways to better your everyday conversation with your significant other. Make it a challenge for you to not interrupt that person when they speak so that you hear them fully and paraphrase back what you heard. Those two things can make a very big difference. Many times we will take our feelings and project them onto somebody else as the result of their actions. For instance, when somebody says, "You make me so angry when you do this," that's not the same as saying, "I get so upset when such and such." As you grow and as you refine your communication skills, you'll learn that the way in which you express yourself can absolutely contribute to whether or not somebody gets defensive or how understood a person feels. Avoid fostering or creating a superiority complex or dynamic between the two of you. It is so easy to take every little difference and weaponize it and turn it into something that they could have done better, that they shouldn't have done to begin with. What in the world gave them that idea? How stupid do you have to be to come up with this, that, and the third? It's not a good place to be in. I would even venture to say that it is toxic to have that kind of an outlook and think of people that way. If you find yourself going down this road, stop. Take a step back and really analyze what your feelings are and what is causing you to feel justified in the way that you are speaking to or speaking down to your partner. On the flip side of that superior attitude, what you can do is be more flexible and open to the fact that there is more than one way to get a job done. Just because you do something one way doesn't mean that your way is the only way or the right way or the most efficient way. You could potentially learn something from the way that your partner does that same activity or goes about solving that same issue. If they make their bed differently than the way that you make your bed, but it still ends up made, you don't have to say something like, "That is a backwards way to go about making your bed." It can just be a comment like, "I've never thought of making my bed that way. I just learned something new." Your partner will feel less attacked and you can turn it into a learning opportunity for the both of you. This is particularly true if your partner is from a different culture. If you can take those confusing moments and turn them around as curiosities, like you want to know more, they will feel more inclined to share their culture with you. Remember, you're not just talking about this thing that this person does. You might be referencing part of their identity, so this is very sensitive. If you both can start to do these things, and if you both can learn what it is to have a healthy compromise or a healthy sacrifice for a relationship, you can absolutely make this work. I hope that you enjoyed this video. This is a topic that's really near and dear to us because it's part of the reason why our channel exists. We'd love it if you subscribed and became part of our community. Until next time, remember that with God, all things are possible, and I'll see you in another video. Take care.